Get it started.
All right.
Let's get this started.
Guys, welcome to Rank You Very Much. This is episode 12, I believe. If not, I'm a liar. But here's a theme song.
That's lovely.
That was, top notch. Didn't know the production quality here was so good.
I only was hoping it was going to go longer.
I was starting to feel the groove.
And that's the theme song. That's the show. No, I'm just joking. Okay, now we got there. Bryan Dano, Joe Bates, Dan Bates. I don't know why we're not going live right now.
Because we started 3 minutes early.
All right, sorry guys, just trying to get this thing going. Looks like it's going here. Thank you very much, guys. Today we're talking about, obviously, and there it is. Go live. Boom. Dan Bates. Perfect. Thank you guys. Welcome to Thank you very much. Played the theme song. We're all having a fun time. You may be wondering, what's today, Joe? We're all wanting to watch football games. You don't want to watch your podcast. What are you talking about? Oh, we're talking about football. Worst fantasy football bust with my guest experts. With my guest experts to the right of me and to the left of me, these two. Left of me, I'll start here. He is an expert in fantasy stats for right offensive guards, Mr. Dan Bates.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you having me on the podcast today.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate it. I see you're wearing a Danny Woodhead jersey, which is a running back, not an offensive guard.
Oh, but he sits behind the killer Fs, Franklin Fluker out of San Diego. I'm telling you, when you start a team, you got to know where to start. It starts at the core. People think left tackle is big. Guard.
So you actually you'll delve into the left guard territory too.
Occasionally, right guard's really where you want to hit the gap, but if you're doing a counter, you want to have that left guard as well.
Yeah, that's fair. I get that. I'm excited to see what you got to say about worst fantasy football bust. To the right of me, folks, and you may recognize him from his blog, where he specializes in talking about individual defensive players from Georgia, Mr. Bryan Dano.
Well, thanks for having me, Joe. There's no place where I'd rather be here on Christmas Eve than with you discussing this type of stuff.
Yeah, this is the most Christmas episode I've ever done.
Yes, well, it's Christmas Eve. It makes sense.
I got a question. When you say individual defensive players from Georgia, you mean just Alec Ogletree?
Yeah, pretty much that guy.
So you just specialize in Alec Ogletree stats?
Yeah, I've been scouting him since he was about 13, and then he went to Georgia, and then obviously coming out, I knew I was going to take him possibly top 8 rounds.
You knew you could take a top 8 rounds?
Absolutely.
I see. Okay. In the league, so every league you play has an individual defensive player.
Well, the ones that don't, I still draft him for spirit.
Yeah, that's fair. You got to have that. You got to have a team captain.
Exactly.
I like a school like Georgia because for each position, they only put one person, so they focus on it. They've got a right guard out there, Clint Bowling, playing for Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, Clint Bowling for Cincinnati.
You don't find another guard out there from Georgia. They take one, make them perfect.
Yep. Yeah, so they all played on the same team. That would have been a really good Georgia team.
Yeah, exactly. Well, me and Dan have been scouting Georgia for years. It's one of our hobbies.
Given ESPN, you'd say Georgia's been the greatest team for many years.
Some people play video games. Other people just scout Georgia players. That's just what we do.
Well, actually, there's a new video game out there where it's scout Georgia players. It's a real simulation game. You just watch Georgia football and you decide who's really playing the best.
Go Dogs!
No, that's a fun Saturday.
Bark, bark.
Saturday. You're not reviewing game film on Mondays as well?
Well, that's Tuesday. That's Tuesday and Wednesday night.
You're only working individual defensive player. You're not working a game like guard where you have to really see the nuances.
And a reminder, folks, today's episode is brought to you by Moxie, the drink that you've never heard of in New England.
Best soda in the world.
Moxie. But again, we got a great show tonight, folks. I'm very excited. Worst fantasy football bust. I've done this year when I did this as an audio podcast. You can see the futurecomedy.com podcast. That was 2 years ago. It was great. I think the winner that year was
Calvin Johnson.
No, I think it was Brian Westbrook or LaShawn McCoy, somebody like that, where somebody had to keep starting. I think it was LaShawn McCoy. Probably not Brian Westbrook.
So it was the year Calvin Johnson was hurt a bunch and played every game, and you superseded Dano, who had McCoy lined up, and went Calvin Johnson.
That's true.
I see. Bates Brothers ain't nothing to fuck with. All right, so we're doing today. Now you're wondering, Joe, what's the list? What are the worst fantasy football busts we're talking about? Well, we're going to be talking about Todd Gurley from the L.A. Rams, Allen Robinson, Cam Newton, Drew Brees, DeAndre Hopkins, Rob Gronkowski, Adrian Peterson, Eddie Lacy, Jamaal Charles, Antonio Brown, and Dez Bryant. Now, folks, that's 11 names. I usually have the list behind us. I'm in Chicago tonight, not Indianapolis, so it's hard for me to get the list up. You can see a picture of my mom on an elephant over there.
Poster board doesn't travel.
Poster board does not travel. And so we have 11 names. Again, on BidChat, guys, under @JoeBates Comedy. If you're watching on Facebook Live, if you go to BidChat, you can call in on the show. Let us know what you think. So feel free to do that. And if you want to, you can add somebody to the list if we're missing somebody. So that's perfect. All right. Also, if you think somebody should be off the list that we're talking about, again, Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson, Cam Newton, Drew Brees, DeAndre Hopkins, Rob Gronkowski, Adrian Peterson, Eddie Lacy, Jamaal Charles, Antonio Brown, and Dez Bryant, let us know. Call in on the show. We love talking to people. I hate talking to these two. Now let's get started with the show. No offense.
Bah humbug.
No offense.
Ouch.
Brian, when you're figuring out worst fantasy football bust, what's the criteria that you're basing it off of?
Well, it could be several things. Looking at this list, I would say draft position, and then production, and then also you got to look at injuries too.
Yeah.
But I would say mostly draft position. Thinking about you're going to draft a guy between 1 and 3, and he doesn't give you that type of production.
So you're looking at the real top echelon people.
Exactly, because if you're going to draft high, you expect them to be starters. A lot of these guys are on your bench at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. Dan, what about you?
Besides guys that get unexpected poor guard performance, I look at it.
No, not besides that.
So you want that included?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now we're delving into something I understand. No, I look at it and say, where were they when I needed them? That's a big part of me for fantasy football. But it was pretty extensive during that break.
Yeah, sorry about that little break there.
Yeah, so I think it's where are you when I need you, and are you going to step it up? It's an interesting list here because I think between Dano's perspective of where you expect them value for the season versus where you are, we've got a pretty tough list to whittle down here.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Again, Case and Nile brings up a good point. Who brought the Moxie? My parents bought Moxie because they knew that the kids are going to be home to see it. Thank you for asking. But yes, this is Moxie, folks, sponsoring today's episode of Rank You Very Much.
Jesus, lots of Moxie.
Lots of Moxie. Hey, in here, that's where the real Moxie is. Oh, I'm in my stomach because I've been drinking it all day.
Don't let them fool you, folks. It's disgusting.
How dare you? It's a glorious elixir.
My criteria for what I'm deciding on how to do this is a mixture of touchdown celebrations, criminal record, and just overall charisma. If they're lacking charisma, I don't like them. They're the worst fantasy football.
So is it charisma off the field or charisma like while they play?
Dan, charisma doesn't change on field, off field. It's a 24/7 thing.
Okay, so like the jump into the Salvation Army thing by Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, is that charisma?
That's a lot of charisma.
Okay.
When he poked his head out there like a little groundhog.
But when you go,
he saw a shadow. He saw six more weeks of Dallas winning.
I've got some comments to get down on this list.
Okay. Here we go, folks. We're back at it. Again, the list for people just tuning in: Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson, Cam Newton, Drew Brees, DeAndre Hopkins, Rob Gronkowski, Adrian Peterson, Eddie Lacy, Jamaal Charles, Antonio Brown, and Dez Bryant. Worst fantasy football bust. As always, we do the veto round first, where we go and say this person shouldn't be on the list, and we take them off. And we start with the youngest person here, Mr. Bryan Dano, at the tender age of 13.
Well, thanks, Joe. I got a lot of great stuff for that birthday. Nice finally getting off that tricycle and getting a real bike with some training. You know what I'm saying?
Don't forget that Ogletree jersey.
Yeah, well, that's a given. Home and away. I'm hoping for the alternate for Christmas, but we don't know.
Hey, dreams do come true.
Hey, I just mailed out for that bowl patch that he got. So, yeah. SEC championship game bowl patch.
Is that iron on, or do you sew that?
I don't know. I'll let my mother figure it out. Okay, so
you're right.
We're voting. So I'm voting to take somebody off this list.
Yes, you do not believe they're the worst fantasy football bust.
Well, I'm all right. I'm going to vote for Jamaal Charles.
Jamaal Charles,
which is going to hurt Dan, I know, but strictly because I don't know why anybody would take him high to begin with. I mean, he was coming off an injury. He basically played 2 games. I don't really know anybody outside of him. Taking him in the top like 4 or 5 rounds. So I would vote for him. Out of all these guys, you could make a case. We'll get to that later, obviously, but he's the one that sticks out to me, Jamaal Charles.
I'm with you because one, Jamaal Charles played 2 games.
He carried the ball 9 times all year.
He carried the ball 9 times all year. So at some point, you don't have him on your team. You know, that's
so you kind of know what you're getting because you can sit him. So I agree with
and
that.
It's not like he's shocked. It's shocking that he was injured this season.
And if you were starting him weeks 7 through 14 or 15, he had 1 carry, and he was probably on the injured reserve list. So that's on you.
So
if you the people can I stress that in fantasy football, nothing drives me more insane than a team is just starting IR players or bye week players.
We can get to that in a separate podcast, probably.
Yeah, it's a bunch of hacks. Like
yes.
at least try. I was 2-12 this year. Filled a full team. Might as well have been on the IR. All my team IR.
Dan once started a team and they averaged 7 points each, and they all played. That was a PPR. It's a high scoring league.
It was a rough week.
It was a rough week. Luckily, it was the playoffs. And
playoffs. The one thing comment I have on Jamaal Charles, which I agree, he was my number 1 to take off the list as well, was you did draft a bit of hope with him.
Yeah.
Sometimes in fantasy you get that. Like,
it's potential.
Yeah, he's hurt. You know, like people didn't know how Brady would come back and things like that. Like you're drafting on hope. So I did go.
Well, you didn't expect him to be out the whole year. You expected him to come back week 3 or 4. So people are trying to expect him to come back. And I mean, he has been, one of the, if not the most productive back in like the last 5 years as far as yards per carry, touchdowns. Things like that,
and you get suckered in where I did, where you keep drafting and you forget. Now, when you're going with that, you got to pick up the handcuff. If you don't have Ware and you've got Jamaal Charles, it's really on you.
You're all in. You're just like Jamaal Charles. No, there was one league I was like, yeah, Jamaal Charles, no doubt. But that's only probably because me and Dan both went to the University of Texas. That's
well, I was just going to get to that. If he didn't go to Texas, I'm sure he wouldn't have been drafted.
You still love him.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love him?
Whoa, okay, that was aggressive. That was like a guy guarding a cult leader.
I feel like you're devaluing Jamaal Charles as a human then.
You still love him, right? Right?
You would have been better off having Brees Holmes this year.
Okay,
all right, Jamaal Charles off the list. We all know he wasn't going to win here, so they're not surprised. Dan, I got to ask you over here, who are you taking off the list?
So going through it, I'm just going to go ahead and chug through on the same theme.
Chug through?
Chug along.
Okay, like a train.
Not great. Not a great impression of a train.
Chug-a-lug.
I'm gonna take, for the same reasons, I'm gonna go ahead and take Adrian Peterson off the list.
Okay. All right.
So I think because his injury was kind of lingering into the preseason, people overdrafted him, and
he was great last year.
No, I think he was great last year, but I think going into this year, there were a lot of telltale signs. Like you could have gotten away from him when Bridgewater got hurt, because like, most drafts were between the Bridgewater-Bradford trade.
Yeah.
And you could have gotten away from him knowing that people were going to put 9 in the box on him.
Yeah, when he traded for Sam Bradford, you're just basically asking for him to get killed.
Correct. So I mean, and he got hurt early enough in the year that
you
kind of knew it was coming, and you could get off it. Plus,
well, yeah, I didn't even throw the Minnesota Vikings running back situation after that with Asiata and McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It really, I mean, they couldn't figure out what they were doing. You got a phone call?
No.
Dana, you got a little phone call there?
No.
You told people to call you during the show?
No. Call me specifically at 12:05. I need to get out of it.
Yes, I gotta go.
Sell. All right, so Adrian Peterson, fair. And I would say Adrian Peterson this year wasn't even drafted in like the first half of the draft usually.
I think he probably was, but for the same reasons with Charles, I agree with Dan. I mean, he was done by halfway through week 2. He was averaging, I think, under 2 yards a carry before then. So, I mean, nobody even knew he was coming off IR till last week, and he had a fabulous game of
6 for 22 yards.
6 for 22 yards, and I believe he fumbled also.
He fumbled.
Of course he did,
But
typical
I'll tell you
Peterson
what.
fashion.
Still, we're good with the switch.
Okay.
Should make a very Merry Christmas to the Peterson.
I actually think Adrian Peterson was on the list 2 years ago because of the switch situation.
Yeah. See, I mean,
He's a switch hitter.
you were bad then, you're bad now.
Again, just to remind you, who doesn't hit people with switches? Moxie, a soda from New England, sponsoring today's episode. Find a Moxie at your local New England store today.
And online at moxie.com.
Yes, moxie.com, where the drinks are. All right, so Adrian Peterson is off the list. We're taking him down. I'm up next, and I gotta say, I'm looking at the other running backs. You said running backs after running back. Oh man, that's rough. So I'm looking at this list here. I'm seeing who to take off. It is way more difficult than I was giving this credit to.
Yeah.
Man, everybody was really bad this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go with the same thought process that we've had at the last two. And honestly, he's never done anything before. He's had a couple good games. He's not overall a great player. You never feel good about starting him. I'm taking Eddie Lacy off the list.
Ooh. Okay.
My thought process is, one, injured by week 6. Injured by week 6, you get James Starks. You shouldn't be starting a Green Bay running back in the first place. Green Bay running backs have not since Amon Green.
Amon.
Or James Starks for that short while.
My only comment on that is he lasted 6 weeks, and you had to start him because you're starting running back in the league, and it was a bit tough to pick up off the pile after 6 weeks. Like Peterson and Jamaal, you already had to have somebody.
I hate trying to pick that guy up off any pile.
That's a fair point.
I think he did take the fattest guy off the list.
I don't know. Drew Brees hides it well.
These other guys, we're what basically looks like we're dwindling guys down that were, basically only there for a certain part of the season. Like Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, the injured. You shouldn't be a fantasy football bust if it's an injury, I think.
If you were fooled by the whole PDX thing he was doing in the offseason.
Unless it's self-inflicted injury, a Plaxico Burr situation, then you can be a big bust. But if you're actually hurt in the field of play.
Here's a question. Who was drafted earlier, Adrian Peterson or Eddie Lacy?
I would say Lacy, probably.
Lacy was.
Everybody was buying into he's in shape in the PDX thing. I don't know if they were feeding him in the training room, he was finding the nearest food truck afterwards. Because he didn't look any different to me.
No, he did. He did look like a big guy.
Turd. You know what?
A fat turd. Eddie Lacy, if you're listening, you look like a fat turd.
You know what he does look like? A prime offensive guard.
Yeah, I put him in there.
Yeah.
I put him in there.
Maybe that's his new position, especially with him being able to rehab.
I would say
stick him on the line. They could use the help.
I would say an XFL offensive guard, or maybe even
if he's in the XFL, what's his name?
What's Eddie Lacy's name? Eat him up.
I like it. I was going to go with Feed Me Lacy.
Feed me Lacy. Feed me Lacy. Feed me Lacy. Feed me Lacy.
Just fat Eddie.
All right, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, now you've done it.
Okay, all right.
Now you're just insulting him.
I'm done.
So much.
I'm done.
I'm done. He's on the IR.
I know. The poor man is rehabbing.
IR.
One hot dog at a time.
Are they?
Is he rehabbing at a White Castle? All right.
Okay, Jesus. He's got.
Why different color?
He's got a family. Hashtag cookie. Folks, we're down to our final 8 now. Let me resend the list of what it is. Not resend the list. Let me re-say the list. Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson, Cam Newton, Drew Brees, DeAndre Hopkins, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, and Dez Bryant. Again, that's 8. If you want to call in and add one person, feel free, guys. Feel free to call in on the show. Let us know what you think. I'd love to talk to you and see who you think is the worst fantasy football bust. But now we're done with one run of Vito. How about another one?
Hey-o.
Did you go something there, Joe?
I think I had a stroke, and I think I just had a stroke.
Parkinson's.
Someone please call somebody. I'm falling apart at the seams.
Dano get it called in for you.
Yeah, Dana's got a guy. Dana's got a guy driving around.
Too many phone calls since this all started. What are you doing on TV?
Is that Georgia calling you, Scout?
Georgia, why are you giving away our Ogletree secrets?
Georgia calling home.
They want me back in.
Got a new Sun Bowl patch for you.
Roll Dogs. Okay, that's not even
Christmas between the hedges for Dano. Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Anyways,
Is Fat Stafford out of Georgia?
He is.
Matt Stafford, huh?
I'm surprised you know his line.
God, yeah. The line's been weak in Detroit. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, it's not theoretic. That guy is a champion. That's why he's not on this list. There's some guards in Detroit that would glad we're not drafting him.
Oh, God.
Now, is Matt Stafford have the fattest face?
Oh, it's a pretty fat face. I mean, proportionally,
Is it muscles? Like it's a weird.
I think the word is jowls.
He's got jowls.
He is round. He kind of looks like Cartman in the face.
Yes. He looks like you had a wide face and then it just started melting.
Yeah.
And you're like, I guess this is what I look like. I'm Matt Stafford. Where's Calvin?
Well, if he was 12, I'd say no. But since he's probably 28, I'd probably have to lean towards. Yeah, he's got a very baby, just type of face.
Yeah, you can grab it.
But I mean, it could be a thyroid disorder.
Hey. You know, does it give you thyroids? Moxie. Brought to you by Moxie. This episode of Thank You Very Much.
Moxie.com.
Moxie.com. All right, let's continue, folks, with this episode with another round of veto. Austin Fry says, fuck you, Dan.
That guy's a hack.
That guy's a hack. Austin Fry. Yes, if you ever see him, that guy, he sells tickets.
Hey, Austin, go be afraid of mediocrity some more, all right?
Oh, roasted. Roasted to your face. Austin's really, he really got under his skin.
Did I?
Yeah, he's done. He's quitting comedy.
You're welcome, America.
All right, let's continue with this veto round. Bryan Dano, you're over here having a great time. I got to ask you.
I'm having an awesome time.
Who are you taking off the list now?
Well, I've been going over this for the last couple minutes.
I try to give you some time because I know it's very difficult right now.
You know what? If you really go, I was initially thinking Drew Brees, but I'm going to leave him on there strictly because
play action.
Strictly because of what he did in the last week of the regular season and the first week of the playoffs. The guy scores 30 points a game all year, and then he goes 4.4.
Zero touchdown, 3 interceptions.
Back-to-back 0 touchdown, 3 interception game. I know Joe was texting me. He was very excited about those 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was very good. It was just super fun. The guy I lost to because of that is now in the championship game. And he beat me. We both scored under 80 points. It wasn't a happy day. Oh, talking about this league that me, Dano, and Dan are in. Dan, it's been
nothing to talk about.
This league has gone on for 11 years. Dan has been in the playoffs 3 times and lost all 3 games.
Hey,
one of them putting up one of the worst playoff performances of all time. I myself have won 2 championships. Dano, I haven't really been paying attention to how Dano's been doing in that. 4
I'm the Tom Brady of the league.
That's
because he cheats.
I'm changing my team name to Austin Fries. Large fries.
Austin Fries sounds like the worst hipster food truck.
That's good. Sea salt.
Sea salt. All right, so you're not taking Drew Brees out.
I'm going to go with Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
And I know he was the MVP of the league last year, but I don't think anybody really. Last year was an anomaly. If you look at every other year that he's had, it's pretty much the same that he's had this year.
Yeah, last year injuries all came together.
And I mean, really,
but last year he didn't have Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, but the other thing is, even with like their season going to shit, he's still putting up numbers. He's still putting 20 points up a week. He's still trying.
Well, he's not putting up 20 points a week. He's also injured for 1 week. He has put 20 points up 3 times since week 10.
It's a gift. You get to pick up Derek Henderson.
Actually, since week 10. Yeah.
How is he still in the league?
How is anybody still in the league? All right.
Well, there's going to have to be a league because people watch.
That's fair. I want robots. I want it all to be robots.
For this podcast.
We need the
it's the only time I get on every year.
I feel like every topic is different, so I don't think I need the league for this podcast.
I need it.
Yeah,
it's the only one I'm invited to.
It's fair. We haven't really talked about world travel again.
I'd hit that one.
What do you mean?
I'd be all over that. I'd travel.
I feel like sometimes you use terms that aren't the right term for the term.
Joe,
I feel like you don't know what the word means.
I'm getting older.
I feel like you use the word and you don't know the inconceivable. It's like Princess Bride.
So world travel, would that
regardless.
include outside of DuPage County or just? Because if that's the case, I got a lot of counties.
I got a lot of counties.
I got a lot of counties under my belt.
County.
Why are you leaving DuPage?
That's true.
Once you found Mecca.
Did you know that DuPage is French for the page?
No, I think it's French for 2 pages.
All right. I don't think it is. You're an idiot. Anyways.
But I'm taking Cam off for this reason. Because if you look at him, I mean, yeah, he was the MVP.
Okay. What do you mean you look at him?
I got myself
A lot of charisma. But so where are we at in the charisma with Cam? So
Well, he hasn't really
forced.
This year.
Well, it's
Cam
simple.
Newton.
He gets when they won that Monday night against the Redskins, he's all happy. When they lose, he pouts.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one or the other. But I don't know a lot of people that took him. If you look at quarterbacks, you're looking at Rodgers or Brees,
Or
Brady,
even Brady got picked
or
before him.
Roethlisberger. He probably wasn't taken. I mean, if you took him,
I
in
bet
the
you
first
he was
round,
picked before Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
maybe. But my point being,
I don't know.
he's a second tier to possibly top third tier quarterback if you're taking him in fantasy. Kirk Cousins probably puts up more numbers than he did. He probably did last year
Kirk
too.
Cousins is great this year.
So to me,
Not
he's not
the
that big of a disappointment because he is what he is.
Yeah.
He is what he is.
You are what you are.
Wow.
And we let him off the hook.
He does love kids though, which I kind of appreciate. So I guess you can take him off. He's not the worst. Okay.
You know, also
He's not
loves
the
the
worst
kids.
human being on this list.
Moxie, folks. Moxie loves the kids. They have coming out with a new flavor, Moxie Junior.
Jesus,
It's just
are you
like
hoping for a
this.
free case of this stuff or something? When they're watching.
Moxie.com.
No. Yes. All right, folks. We're continuing our journey through the worst fantasy football bust. We've taken 4 off the list. Dan, who else are you taking off the list right now?
It's going to be first controversial pick, I think. I'm taking Gronk off the list.
That's what I was going to take off. I'm
I
not.
wouldn't disagree. I was going between him and Tim. So
Yeah, so I'm not.
So much for building drama in the
Yeah,
podcast. Way to play along, guys.
Well, you can't just force it. All right, you're not Cam
I'm
Newton.
not forcing it. I love it.
Well, you seem to.
So Gronk's another hope draft, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, he did what he's supposed to do when he was in. He only had 2 games where you had to play him,
And he scored
but he
nothing.
didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's unfortunate, but they're regular season games.
Hey, Erie Gone. Thanks for tuning in and watching me and Dan talk about how we've been beating your team every year we play you.
Ferocious Fanged sucks.
Proud. We just took Rob Gronkowski out the list, and you're saying because he was injured when he started the season, and I don't know if you know he's currently injured.
And he's the capital of charisma. And that guy is
Yes.
fantastic.
This guy's got a lot of charisma.
There's not a guy in the league outside of, maybe Clint Bowling.
I'll tell you right now, the most charismatic person, I guess not in the league this year, but Marshawn Lynch is great fun.
That guy wears a helmet.
Marshawn Lynch.
He's not as much fun as Grog.
No.
You know what?
Has Marshawn Lynch ever had a cruise?
You guys need to.
Gronk is the only guy who
With
does
his
everything
family.
the NFL doesn't want you to do, and everybody's like, "It's great." If anybody else did what Gronk did, they'd say, "Oh, he's a hooligan, he's a troublemaker, he's bad."
There's other reasons. Conan O'Brien's Clueless Gamer. They have Rob Gronkowski and Marshawn Lynch playing Mortal Kombat, and
Are we
Marshawn
plugging
Lynch,
other talk shows?
Marshawn Lynch is amazing.
That's pretty good.
I would recommend to have everybody that, if you want to talk about charisma and just what a child this man is, that we all love.
Yeah.
Go back to his Buffalo press conference after he scored his 68th touchdown and said, my next is my 69th. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's like, jeez.
It's great.
It's great, though. I love it.
You just don't get that kind of stuff.
But I'm with Dan on the hope pick because I saw this guy in pretty much every one of my leagues. Somebody take him in the first round, and the guy is proven he's awesome when he's in there. But when you had to see this,
When
he
he's
gets
not playing,
injured
when he's not playing, he's not awesome.
Just cheap
because he's
shots.
putting up 0 points.
It's just hang on. We're on the episode 13.
How many?
No, we're down to people watching. Don't worry about Facebook Live. That's a different thing. The views on Bid Chat are more important. We got Facebook Live here, just checking that out. Feel free to comment while you're watching. Feel free to like. Feel free to love. Feel free to go on Bid Chat at Joe Bates Comedy and call in. And I just burped a little bit. Now it's up to me.
How about a collar?
We've taken all the injury-prone players off the list.
I feel like I should text you from sitting next to you because I normally do every episode.
Yeah, you're really getting on my nerves. All
30 years of it, Joe.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm going on the list here, and here's the deal. I'm looking at the people that are playing. I'm checking out what their stats are, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I'm taking Antonio Brown off the list.
What?
And the reason is, if you look at the receivers that he's going up against, he's the least fantasy football bust, I think. And that's surprising because he's like a top 3, top 5 pick.
Well, number
one. But he does. You know what? I'm looking at those playoff numbers. He really sucked in those playoffs.
Think about charisma, too. He is the most fake charisma person ever.
Antonio Brown is amazing.
With the stupid shoes.
He's got a mohawk.
God, I can't
you're just jealous. Man, they're all really bad in the playoffs, though.
They're all bad.
These are all really bad. I'm taking Antonio Brown because he's at least put some games over 30 points this season.
Yeah.
And he still had his worst game is, 8 points?
Yeah, but that was the round 2 of the playoffs.
The only argument against it would be that, he probably this year, especially if you're in PPR leagues, was probably the first pick, if not second, first or second. But he's been producing, just hasn't been as productive as he's been in years past.
He did his job.
Yeah. I would say, oh, hey, you said that's an ugly shirt, Dan. Which is just rude.
Okay, you can hate on just about anything, but if you hate on Danny Woodhead, you're not an American. Like, that's just all there is to it. He's the hope and dream of everybody.
Or you're above 6 feet tall.
Fair point.
And that's where Mike Allstott comes in.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, we work Mike Allstott into the podcast.
That's all I ever
I don't
care
see
about.
that too often.
That's all I want Mike Allstott in every podcast I do.
Okay. Gotta dream big, I guess.
I gotta dream big.
And set your goals too, right?
But Antonio Brown, I'm taking out the list. He didn't Antonio Brown like he always has, but he did win you some games by himself this year, more so than any of these other players, except for one specific one. Probably win you some games too.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. We're down to our final 5: Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson, Drew Brees, DeAndre Hopkins, and Dez Bryant. Those are our final 5. Our final 5, folks. Now, here's what you may be thinking about what's going on this show. We're at the final 5. We're going to discuss these final 5, decide whether this should be in the top 3 or not. Again, if you call in and want to add somebody at any time, feel free to call in. And at this point, since we're at the final 5 and no one's called in, on Facebook Live, if you want to just comment a person to add to the list on Facebook Live, feel free to do that as well.
So, can we take a second and just talk about a few honorable mentions that could have been on this list?
Sure.
No?
Okay.
Yeah, what honorable mentions do you want to put out there?
I'm saying, is there like a defense that you thought really let you down? Like Houston's defense, I think people drafted pretty high in defenses, and that kind of screwed a lot of people over.
Yeah, most defenses you switch out during a bye week, you find a matchup. I mean, really, I think, well, who was it? Smith, I think, took the Seattle defense to the 8th round.
Yeah. Just supplemental topic from Steve Sherman. Who'd you take, Joe Montana or Teddy Bridgewater? And I mean in the 2017 fantasy draft. Wow. I would go with Teddy Bridgewater. He has a chance of playing.
Joe Montana is a hell of a tackler.
It's Joe Montana.
Are they going to let Bridgewater play with a cart?
It's like that golfer Casey, whatever, back in the day. You get to play if you have a cart. Yeah.
Did you know? Oddly enough, you know what they diagnosed? You know what they prescribed for Teddy Bridgewater? Step ups, the Skechers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the Joe Montana step ups.
Oh, so who's the real hero?
Skechers.
So the other thing topic I got to touch on is it drives me crazy. I don't know how many games, but I guarantee you it swung at least a 5% games, maybe 2% games, is the fucking extra point. Moving the extra point back, those are automatic points. So somebody like this Nugent character out of Cincinnati who was actually a top 10 kicker last year.
Yeah, you know
he's missed 10 extra points. You have to play. He's your kicker. Goskowski's missed 6.
Have you ever seen Nugent's concert where he takes the bow and arrow and shoots a flaming bow and arrow at the top?
Now he misses left.
Yeah, misses left. Audiences would not like that. I'll tell you that much. We lost a few Ted Nugent fans out there.
I think the kickers have really hurt a lot of people. I think defenses have been like hit or miss, like weird defensive things this year.
You play matchups.
The Falcons really showed up that one game.
Yeah, but you don't expect them to.
Well, they were playing the LA Rams.
Nobody expected the Falcon Inquisition.
I'm going to tell you about the LA Rams.
Not against a Jeff Fisher coached offense.
Yeah, I mean, stash it up.
I'm starting to think it wasn't Vince Young's fault for the Titans.
Starting to think. Where the hell have you been?
Erie's asking, is this what this is? Are we taking fantasy football advice from you guys? Yikes. No, Erie, that's not what the show is. The show is Rank You Very Much. And we're ranking the worst fantasy football bust. So we're going through fantasy football and seeing who the worst player was for the teams. So if you paid attention once in a while, Erie to gone, and not about your marriage or your puppies. But
for a small consulting fee, Erie, help you out. I've won 4 times.
He's won 4. I've won twice. Dan has made the playoffs 3 times.
I mean,
not as good as 4.
Glad we're not ranking friends' wives.
Dano, you've actually won more championships than Dan's played playoff games.
Well, that's about right.
Okay, we're focusing on a league
when you have one guy that specializes in defensive players, and you have another guy that specializes in guards, specifically from the University of Georgia. Say the scouting department's a bit weak.
Putting Clint Boyd on the field for every position has been a bit tough.
I literally have all of the other players, and I can't win a game. He's got all the defensive players in Georgia. He just got O guards. I can't do a shit. I don't understand. All right, we're down to our final 5, folks. Again, Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson,
Western Michigan,
Drew Brees.
undefeated this year.
In the middle of talking.
Taylor Monton. This kid is a beast at guard. 13-0 Western Michigan team. You wait. He's going to be top of your board in 17.
Top 5.
How does he pull?
He's pulling pretty good.
Pulls.
Better trapper.
Better trapper?
Yeah.
Does he get the combo block?
No. That's where he gets.
He runs that straight counter roll.
Yeah.
How many holding calls?
3 for the season, and 2 of them were to save the quarterback from injury. So you really,
save the quarterback from injury.
I mean, if you got a guy going blind, sometimes you got to take that hold. Not all holding calls are created equal.
You know what is created equal?
Chicago Bears, are you listening at the 4th pick? Right there.
This kid out of Western Michigan, Taylor Monton, he knows how to play in the cold.
You know what isn't created equal?
Undersized.
Moxie. Moxie is by
Moxie.com.
far the best soda ever made, not created equal for the other sodas. So, again, sponsoring today's episode of Rank You Very Much. Drink a Moxie today if you're in New England. Or go to Moxie.com and you can order it. But I don't think it'll come today. It'll be like tomorrow.
Pigeons. They can get you
European pigeons or African pigeons? Kids. All right, we're down to our final 5. I'm going to go one at a time down the list, and we're going to decide whether they should be in the top 3. First up, Todd Gurley. And if you guys want to add one to the list on Facebook Live or on BidChat, feel free to comment or call in on the show. We'd love to hear from you.
I mean, Erie, there's plenty of Seahawks to choose from.
So first off, Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was a top 3 pick this year.
God, I hate him.
In every form of the draft.
If not that top 5
But-
for sure. He was the first running back gone.
It was either him or D. Johnson.
Yep,
And
that's right. Him or
Not
Jerry
only was he
Johnson.
already there and hyped, but then he was on Hard Knocks and you saw Fisher, don't touch 30, don't touch 30.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, 30's going to be awesome. Nah, 30 was not awesome.
30 had a rough year. His highest game was against Buffalo, Week 5, 17 points.
Which doesn't make any sense either. That screws you because you probably would sit him for that game because Buffalo actually had a real defense.
Yep, you missed Tampa Bay. A great stat line: 27, 85, and 2 touchdowns for 21
there
points.
it is, 21 points. Sorry, that was Week 3. So then you're like, okay, he's getting back into his game, and then he's putting up just like 13, 15, 11 points. You don't know what to do. Here's a nice little thing about Todd Gurley. He's only scored 1 more touchdown this season than Dano has won championships in the league. This guy is a top 3 pick. He scored 5 touchdowns.
So everybody knew going into the season that I was going to be terrible because of Joey's stat breakdown here that I've been in 3 to 11 playoffs.
He's not great.
You guys, who are supposed to be good, 2 and 4 championships, let Dave and Eddie the Orange Squirrel be in the championship. That's on you 2.
Well,
That's on you 2.
That's a good point, Dan. Dave has been in this.
I beat Eddie.
Dave will be in his 4th championship this year, and
The
Eddie
orange squirrels are my kryptonite.
and Eddie will be in his 3rd championship this year, Dan. 3rd championship, which is equal to the number of playoff games.
I can only play the teams in front of me, Joe. And I beat Eddie. I beat the Squirrels.
Eddie in our league is actually one of the 4th best overall records.
He's the worst.
I don't know how he does it, but he's been he's been top seeds twice. He's just a lucky guy.
If you have a friend named Eddie,
he had a great week last week.
He's the Anais of that league.
Had a great week of 100 points.
He's the Austin Fry of that league.
Wow, no, that guy's a winner.
I tried coaching my team up. Had a bye.
I guess I'm the Austin Fry of that league.
Yes.
God damn it.
Thought we come into the playoffs after that bye well, but when a tight end from Tampa Bay, who I'd never heard of till week 6, is your leading scorer, you're not going to win on a play. Oh, just not going to happen.
Are you surprised by the greatness of Braitness?
Is that his name? I thought that was Braith or Barth or something.
Brate.
Anyways,
whatever.
Todd Gurley.
He's got to be in there.
So I had to say he's the top 3. He's been one of the.
And there is
another supplemental topic: Bridgewater in the NFL Hall of Fame or Pav in the Turkey Bowl Hall of Fame. Dano, assuming both are at full capacity, 10 touchdown passes a year for Bridgewater and 3 drops and 25 loaf for Pav.
So I'm gonna go with Bridgewater.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bridgewater too. No, Sherman, you can't be doing too many inside jokes here. Well, I know we were talking about leagues that nobody else is in, so maybe I should retract
we were on topic at least.
So we're agreeing Todd Gurley, top 3. I'm going to keep moving on the list. I'm going to go with the next guy, Allen Robinson.
Oh, this pile
just to be singing country music.
No, there's no Kenny Britt.
Ha! There you go.
This guy's got to be in.
He's on Jacksonville.
This pile of crap I took in the second round in every league. Think about the
history of Jacksonville. Why are you ever taking a wide receiver from
Jacksonville? Dan, look at his stat line and tell me that it doesn't screw your season up the way he scored.
But, I'm going to the point of never drafted Jacksonville wide receiver.
He was
1,500 yards last year.
He was a top 5 wide receiver.
They are so bad. They're always behind. Do you know how hard it is to be a number 1 receiver on a team when you're always behind and have one 100-yard game for the year? One. Here he is.
Jacksonville finally fired their coach.
Here's his. He's the number one.
He was like 6-48.
They fired a coach with the best part of Jacksonville. They all flew in the plane with him back, and that was awkward.
They lost the Texans.
Yeah,
that's right.
He's the number 1 wide receiver in Jacksonville. Here are stats when they're always behind the last 4 weeks: 4.4 points, 6.1, 2.7, 3.5. Pile.
And then 3 weeks before that, he averaged 20 points a game. So you're screwed. You have to start him.
Can anybody name a Jacksonville running back?
TJ
Yeldon.
Okay, there you go.
Yeldon.
How many running backs do you need to know for a team?
Just one. I'm saying I could have done that.
I could have done that.
I don't know the tight end. Mercedes Lewis.
But he's another one. I'm not going to say I might have picked up Mercedes Lewis in a 0-point week, but I did suffer through a Mercedes experience.
I'll tell you, Mercedes Lewis and Cadillac Williams have proven one thing alone. If your player is named after a car, he's going to be a bust. He's going to be a lemon. So Allen Robinson, I would agree at top 3, which is crazy because we got 3 more to talk about.
I'm not convinced he's a top 3 yet.
All right, we'll put him on the cuff. You know what will put bubbles in your ass? Moxie. Moxie, proven time and time again to not put one bubble on your ass.
Moxie.com
online. Drew Brees up next, folks. Now, he's had a great year. There's no doubt about Drew Brees having a great year. But if you're going into your last week of the season, he's been a top 5 quarterback this year. There's no doubt if you're going into the last week of the season and the first week of the playoffs, Drew Brees cost you something. He cost you a lot. He cost you some wins. He cost me a win.
13 and 14 were just brutal.
And then week 15, he just comes out.
He threw 6 picks in the last week in the first week of the playoffs. 6 picks.
Classic Drew.
Yeah. And then he comes out and throws 4 touchdowns the next game. So after you lose, you get to see the potential of what you could have been.
I think that actually stings worse. And the other thing is
he did fumble though. That makes you feel better.
He has these great stats, but somehow still manages to kill his wide receivers. So like Cooks, he went 2 games where Cooks didn't catch a pass. When Drew Brees is on fire, so he actually makes he's busting other fantasy players.
Yeah, well, they have so many players.
Why are you spreading the ball around, Drew Brees? Get to Cooks.
Well, I think the reason he does so well is because he spreads the ball around.
No, I mean, to the other team in week 13 and 14.
Okay, but I still, you know what I mean?
No. I don't.
Do you know what I'm saying, Randall?
Huh?
Did you call him Brano?
I don't know.
No, I got this.
I'm drunk on Moxie.
My brain is bigger than
Moxie.com. I mean, this is brutal.
I'm gonna have to say no on him. I get the.
He got you in the playoffs.
But look at his stats.
Get there. You want to just get to the playoffs? That's why I don't bother getting there because I only want to get there for the championship.
Is that why you got those 3 times where you lost immediately?
Yeah, that's what I thought I had.
That's why weeks 1 through 12 just don't matter to Dan. he wants to play in the toilet bowl against Chris every year. Are you going to be able to beat Travis if he starts players from 1988?
That guy's out of the league. That's a whole side story. We're kicking Travis out. Travis,
So
you were watching. I didn't know you existed.
That's a good question for people. Like, what's the rules and what's the decorum for kicking people out of the league?
Well,
he's done it for 2 years. He's out. I've already told Joe I'm making an executive decision. He's gone. It takes 2 minutes a week. People that play fantasy, it takes 2 minutes on a Sunday. Start, inactive, whatever. You don't have to do research on it. This guy, for 8 weeks, started players that were on buys or injured. He's gone. I don't care how much he snuggles with twice.
So what I do in my league that I run, it's a 16-team league. I say if you don't start somebody 5 weeks of the year, if there's a bye week or an injured starter that you have, 4 to 5 weeks of the year, and you're
4 to 5 sounds pretty firm.
Well, it depends if I don't like them. And if you're last place, you're second to last place, you're out of the league.
Have you kicked anybody out?
I kicked Ash Jackson out. The guy shot at the wrong basket.
Oh my God! Let's do short story of Ash Jackson. Joey and I decided to play in a Houston City League basketball.
Not fantasy, real.
It was real to me, damn it. And we went and played this thing. We put together Joey's engineering buddies. And I think even Omi played a couple games for us.
I think one time a player played in cargo shorts.
Yeah, definitely had cargo shorts on. We were in these games 78 to 14-ish most games getting blown out. Joey and I were pegging each other in the basketball.
Yeah, well,
they were so mad at each other.
There was a time
50.
We were throwing the ball very hard at each other, and I asked if I could ride home from somebody else.
So it was rough. So
surprising.
So we get this 30-year-old guy, Ash Jackson, who signs up to play basketball, which means I have some inkling about basketball and I'm interested in playing.
He's an architect.
There's some basis you would think that at least
He actually writes a blog for Colorado football.
Okay, well,
so he knows sports.
Yeah, he's not retarded.
Go Bucks.
Okay, well, let's not say that way.
Yeah, so when it comes down to it, you think he gets it. The other team is shooting free throws at this basket. They miss. He gets the rebound, so he knows to grab the ball. Fires that bad boy right back at the same basket. Even better, he missed the backboard.
No, he hit the backboard. He missed the rim. He hit the the part where you throw it out to rebound it. That's what he hit. What?
I don't know what that was.
Let's act like nothing happened.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going.
So he just took the ball and then like he's on a rebound drills, just shot. And it wasn't like the form gooseneck. It was the chest pass shot, the little chest pass shot. And I rebounded it. Looked at it and go, what the hell are you doing? And then dribbled it down and probably got it stolen or something.
Did you give him a rule about how to play the basketball?
Well,
so then the worst part is I
actually tried the best part of it. I tried to block him. I tried to block a shot. It's my own player.
So then it comes down to
God, I wish I could have seen this.
We're getting blown out by 60 points a game. We're still playing for whatever reason, and we need more bodies. So you can't get rid of Ash Jackson.
He's still got 5 players on our team.
Oh, it was brutal.
We're all dying. I'm playing points, which is never good.
Oh God, we had Mikey.
We had one guy. He's like, I'm really good at dribbling, which means he just dribbles.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
He's good at dribbling.
He said he's a good ball handler. So what he would do, he'd dribble, then get right when he passes half court, he'd go in the corner, and then just dribble, and they get double teamed.
Get trapped.
And then he would just throw it away. So that was repeated. He didn't realize what he was doing wrong.
So he was a good dribbler, not a good passer or shooter.
No, he was not even a good dribbler.
He wasn't good at that.
He was just he went.
So he oversold himself.
Oh, he oversold himself. And then we
to be fair, I think everybody on that court that day oversold themselves. They put gym shoes on.
We had his coworker on the team who couldn't make a shot for the life of him. Kept getting open.
Who's that?
What?
Who?
The guy you used to work with, the younger guy, Asian guy.
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
He was like your friend that you brought on the team.
Yeah, I don't know who it was.
Well, if you're
friends is
Sherman just said glad there's no inside jokes going on. Smiley face. Well, we keep fluctuating viewers here, Sherman. So I don't know what they want. Here's a little stat. Drew Brees not in the top 3.
What?
Is that what we're agreeing on?
I would say he's not. The production of the year disappointing for the. I get that, but
Fine.
I'm looking at the rest. But
you look at the other ones. I mean, who've been pretty much non-productive the entire year.
Fine.
Which leads us to the next one: DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, the top 2 wide receiver. Number 3, probably number 3 after Antonio Brown and after Julio Jones.
So this is a difficult one for me because whose fault is it?
But it doesn't matter whose fault it is.
But we're starting to get the 4 picks here. Whose fault is it? These guys, you go when you're trying to get to the worst things for football. I think you have to be on the individual at some point.
Well, you can't say for Todd Gurley either. Or Allen Robinson. It's Bortles throwing the ball. Todd Gurley.
I think you just, Carmen Sandiego, you just figured out who I'm looking at for the worst.
Todd Gurley, it's not his fault either. They literally have no passing game.
Case Keenum was a hell of a quarterback.
Yeah, well.
They wouldn't start Jared Goff because he sucked.
He's not a good quarterback.
I mean, for you, I guess you're looking at Dez Bryant. I don't know, man.
I would vote for Hopkins because the production just hasn't been there all. I don't care what quarterback it is.
So
he's got to go. They've got. I understand.
So I guess before the season, you're saying they got Osweiler. You think they're going to go to a more.
They got Miller, who actually turned out to be a pretty good player. They got Will Fuller, who proved to be that speed guy that they needed
until he got hurt.
Until he got hurt
Week 4.
That guy's got stone hands.
Yeah, but he can run.
Yeah, once Will Fuller got hurt,
doesn't matter.
That's kept Ted Ginn.
That's like this guy.
That's kept Ted Ginn in the league for 12 years.
This kid who can dribble. Yeah, he can dribble, but it doesn't really matter if you can't score.
We can all get in the league for 12 years.
Not everybody can.
Well, Fuller, when we after
dumb player cannot dribble.
Speaking of people that can't dribble,
Fuller, week 4 when he got hurt was never the same player.
Okay, well, I'm just getting out. The point being, going into the season, you thought, okay, Osweiler, or whatever. But I mean, he's just hasn't. To me, it's between him and Dez Bryant, and we're not to get to the next guy.
Yeah, to get to the top 3.
But Dez Bryant had an injury, and
he always has this bullshit injuries.
But if you look at his points,
he got negative points the first player into the playoffs. You had to play him.
Yeah, the New York thing, he put 0 points at the worst week of the playoffs. I would lean towards saying Dez Bryant. Although, I mean, Hopkins got 5 points. Here's the deal: you could sit Dez Bryant for 4 of those weeks and have a different.
My thing is when you knew Romo was down and Prescott can't throw the ball more than 20 yards, and they had Elliott in that line, you should not have expected Romo type numbers out of him. You expected it out of Hopkins with a quarterback, stuff like that, and he's just.
They do have Zach Martin on their line as an offensive guard, and
Notre Dame
be able to run the ball.
Notre Dame.
Yep. Notre Dame's got another offensive guard coming up, Quentin Nelson. Going to be hot.
Okay.
I'm just dropping knowledge on you.
Yeah,
I could go either way on it, but if it was my vote, it would be Hopkins.
So here's the question: is Dez Bryant worse because he didn't play for 4 weeks, or is DeAndre Hopkins worse because you had to play him? He wasn't.
So you're comparing,
and then Dez Bryant they both sucked the first week of the playoffs.
Dez had 0, so it's not like Hopkins had 5 points.
Yeah. Negative points,
but it's 6-point difference. That's not costing you.
It's the most devastating. I needed anything out of him to win that game.
Anything out of him. It's difficult. We agree Allen Robinson's worse than both of them, though.
No.
I would.
Yeah, look at those last 4 weeks. And you have to start him.
Why do you have to start Allen Robinson?
Because he had averaged 20.
Because he teased you between weeks 9 and 10.
Yeah, go ahead. He got 2 weeks of worth of shit. 3 weeks, and if you count week 3 of worth of shit.
And 2 of those are both garbage. I was watching the red zone; they were garbage.
Yeah, you don't literally. It's Jacksonville. Like nobody can be the worst bust if you play for fucking Jacksonville.
4 weeks where he averaged
how many
about
4
4
weeks.
weeks.
If you got Allen Robinson team, how many times did you watch the game? You didn't realize was it Allen Robinson or Hearns catching the ball?
Well,
you don't know until the announcer says.
What does that matter?
Yes, you do.
Julian Thomas has 82. Kind of looks like him as well. I hate fantasy players.
Okay, for
those of you that know, those of us that know Jaguar football.
Why do you want to know Jaguar?
We know our Jags.
This is like watching Florida football.
They got
a Gator fan now.
I want to go to one of the games. I want to sit in that pool.
Yeah, you would.
4 weeks. 4 weeks in a row. 4 weeks in a row.
Jags.
Allen Robinson.
I want to get the Pirate ship.
4 weeks in a row. Allen Robinson averaged 17 points. DeAndre Hopkins outscored 17 points once. Dez Bryant outscored 17 points 3 or 4 times. I'm saying DeAndre Hopkins worse than Dez Bryant.
I am too.
I'm taking that out there right now. I think Dez Bryant was hurt. You can't. When it came back, he did all right.
And when he comes
he had
back,
one really bad game.
You can't expect the same Dez Bryant. It's not the same offense as Dak Prescott.
Dez Bryant had one bad game in the last.
All they do is run Elliott 30 times a game.
I think we're splitting hairs of suck here, so I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Dez Bryant off the list.
But we all agree Dez Bryant sucks.
Yeah, that's why he's in the discussion for the top 5 worst fantasy football.
That's why I'm just noticing up here he's owned by Dumb. Hey, good job, Dumb.
So then we got our 4 here. We're taking Drew Brees off the list.
Yep.
Okay, so our final 3, folks, is Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson, and DeAndre Hopkins. And actually, I want to say this. I say we put Drew Brees back on this list and decide between Allen Robinson and DeAndre Hopkins to get to the top 3. So we have 1 running back, 1 quarterback, 1 wide receiver.
Okay, well, okay.
I mean,
does that make sense?
But that makes sense.
Once you take Brees off the list, isn't he automatically 3 by putting him back on?
Yeah, he's probably
he's automatically.
So then we're in a discussion: is Allen Robinson or DeAndre Hopkins worse than the top 3?
I think they might both be worse than Todd Gurley. I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet. I haven't internalized it.
No.
No.
They're not.
Oh no.
They're not.
This is a debate.
They're not.
Welcomed.
Well,
various opposing opinions, but
yeah, there's a time for debate and there's a time for
monarchy
facts.
over here.
The thing with Todd Gurley may not be worse than one of them, but he's not worse than both of them.
Do people know they can call in?
Oh yeah, guys, if you want to call in and add somebody to the list, feel free, or chat it up on Facebook Live.
I talk Jaguar football. I'm just renewing my season tickets right now.
He doesn't even go to the games. He just likes to have them.
I like the pool.
Okay, so we're down to Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson.
Conversation started.
Todd Gurley, Allen Robinson, and DeAndre Hopkins. Top 3 worst fantasy football bust. Guys, I got to ask you, Allen Robinson, DeAndre Hopkins, who's worse? I think that's what we have to get down to 1 wide receiver so we can do a running back versus wide receiver situation.
I think for me, it's clearly D-Hop.
I would lean towards Hopkins because he's the better player. You expected more out of him.
You drafted higher. Definitely drafted higher.
Robinson had a worse year, but he also had 3 games that he was higher than DeAndre Hopkins' best game. So anyway, DeAndre Hopkins is the clear number 1.
I mean,
Robinson
he was
got
expected
supplanted.
to be on Antonio Brown level this year.
What do you think, Joe? You agree?
Guys, I was thinking Allen Robinson was going to win this thing. I was actually very surprised, but he did help eventually. They all were kind of poor near the end there, what you wanted them to be. So maybe Allen Robinson had less points, but he was drafted later because DeAndre Hopkins.
Even if you have a league with like casual football people like Erie to Gone, and they're drafting, they don't even know to draft Allen Robinson unless Sean tells her to when he sits next to her in the draft.
Okay. What the? Greg Wright, my son made a Go Packers sign for the game because he doesn't like the Vikings. My heart hurts. Thanks, Greg. Allen Robinson's off the list. Anybody else want to tell us about their kids? Yeah. Feel free. Call in. Let's talk. Let's get back to kid talk.
But I think it's a fair point if you're a Bears fan, but you hate you Vikings and Packers equally.
No, we don't. We're not giving this any. We're not giving this any time of day.
Hey, Joe, what kind of comments are we getting here today? Work the fans.
I want more Sherman comments.
No.
We're down to 1 viewer on Facebook Live. But folks, we're down to our final 2 worst fantasy football busts. Todd Gurley of the LA Rams, La La Land.
Gurley, man.
Or DeAndre Hopkins of the Houston Texans, the name that keeps getting bigger the further you say it. So we got DeAndre Hopkins, Todd Gurley.
What is that even supposed to mean?
Houston Texans. It's perfect. You guys get it?
No. Can you explain it?
No.
We have no viewers on Facebook Live.
We got 120 something on that.
Yeah, we're killing it there. Hey, chat. Thanks for watching. Folks, we're down to our final 2. We're going to do our...
I want to understand this Houston Texans thing a little more. I mean, you're a comedian. Just break it down. We're the first 2 non-comedians you've had. We're trying to learn.
To me, Joe.
So if you could,
do you get it?
No.
It gets the bigger the further along you get into it. Houston, a city. Texans, the state.
Wow, that is a really big stretch. Texans are people, so they're smaller than Houston.
No, you put them all together.
So
if you put all the people, you put all the Texans together, they're bigger than Houston.
Are they?
Yes.
I don't know. Houston's a lot of MS.
I don't know what blew my mind more, the ending of Westworld or that joke.
I haven't seen Westworld yet. Don't say it.
Well, I was going to go to the whole plot right here. Let's break down the first 10 episodes. Yeah. You want to shoot a kid? Whatever.
Okay. All right. One day, one time. You want to shoot a kid. I seen that part. Anyways, DeAndre Hopkins, Todd Gurley, the final two. Now it's time for the vote.
Do you want to see who's doing better today before we vote?
No, I kind of want to get this done with so I can watch football.
I'm going. Yeah, I guess I got things to do.
Todd Gurley, DeAndre Hopkins, Dan. Who are you voting? Explain your vote.
Why don't I do it first?
Because you're going first.
Thinking.
Jesus Christ.
I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it.
Oh, you've only been talking for an hour.
I was focused on Dez Bryant. Now I've had to shift.
Well, he gone.
I know.
Jamaal Charles is still available.
So
and a new vice versa.
So I guess when you look at it, like, what really changed for the Rams from last year to this year? I mean, they had no quarterback last year. They improved a little bit in their offensive line. Their defense got much better. And they should have had time to run the ball, kill the clock. That was their offense this year. Mm-hmm. So Gurley should have been the man, like carrying the load like Peterson did like 3 years ago when it was like
no help.
No help,
right.
But he's still getting 100 yards a game, 2 touches. And then you look at DeAndre Hopkins, he is the offense. I mean, Fuller came and kind of took some catches, but
Miller's the best player.
Nobody really took any catches from Hopkins, right? So you sit there and go, well, what really is the problem? And I don't think it was Hopkins. I mean, he was targeted. If you look at his targets, he had games where he was targeted 2 and 3 times. So you can only make the plays where you have the opportunity. Gurley had a chance to make a lot more plays. Mm-hmm. So Todd Gurley, love the dreads. Actually, we got 2 dread guys. Dread.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that.
4 dread guys are the worst 11.
Hating on hairstyles.
Who was the 4th dread guy? Lacy?
Lacy's got dreads. Jamaal Charles.
Yeah, I know Jamaal Charles.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that hair's not licorice on Lacy.
Mid-game stack. Break off a twist.
Okay, so you're voting Todd Gurley.
I'm voting for Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley, you got one vote here, folks. Not looking great for you, but it's nice to have a vote. I'll be honest. I'm looking at the list, and here's the deal, guys. I know you don't want to blame DeAndre. It's Brock Osweiler's fault, but I think the same thing is because Jeff Fisher and what's it the quarterback there, Goff and Keenum, are just horrible people. Okay, they're bad quarterbacks.
They're horrible people.
Wow,
I think they're horrible people too.
Case Keenum's man.
I'll say Case Keenum, a child murderer. You heard it here first. Case Keenum is a child murderer. Let's get that everywhere.
I don't know what we're working with here, people.
But I'm looking at this thing, and I gotta tell you, Todd Gurley coming with the LA Rams. I know why people picked him high. It could have been a flash in the pan thing. DeAndre Hopkins had continually been successful with bad quarterbacks for the last 3 years and continually put up big numbers for the last 3 years. I have to go DeAndre Hopkins as the worst fantasy football bust because it's so different than what he did previous years.
So, just a comment. Todd Gurley, Georgia.
I go against my dogs.
All right, Dano, it's up to you. The tiebreaker. Who was the worst fantasy football bust? Todd Gurley, DeAndre Hopkins. Either tell us right away or go through your thoughts.
I'm going to go back to what Dan said because if you're looking at what has changed for like both teams, I guess even look at record-wise, they're pretty similar. I mean, Houston, even though Hopkins, they're still that crap shit of a division that's there.
Need to help.
Yeah, where Tennessee's probably the best team. But to me, when you're drafted like in the top 3 and you have no 100-yard games, I don't want to hear about bad lines. I don't want to hear about no receivers. I don't hear about Adrian Peterson. Who is the main? When he rushed for 2,000 yards, who was his quarterback in Minnesota? Do you even remember? Who were his wide receivers? I'm not saying he's Adrian Peterson.
Wasn't it Matt Castle?
It might have been Matt Castle.
Matt Castle's there.
Exactly. You give me a Case Keenum, I'll raise you a Matt Castle.
and then Castle got benched for another.
Wasn't
guy.
Joe Webb there?
Joe Webb was there for a while.
Who could forget the Joe Webb era? Not me.
Apparently you did.
Brief moment in time.
They had Gus Frerotte too.
At some point, maybe. But my vote would be Hopkins. Hopkins although the production has not been there, I would lean more towards, other weapons, terrible quarterback. If you're drafted, in the top 3, and you basically suck the entire year, it's not like he's been hurt. He's getting 20 some odd carries a game. You are the offense, so you should be able to at least, like you said, he has 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Come on.
5.
So who are you voting for the worst fantasy football bust?
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley. Hey-o! Todd Gurley, you're the worst fantasy football bust, which makes sense. You were literally you started every week. That was the problem.
I don't win a single damn fantasy football league, but I am 4 for 4 on the Rank You Very Much podcast for my vote winning.
Well,
So
Dan,
dreams do come true, folks.
A
Dreams
little-
do come true.
Take that to the grave.
a little behind the scenes on the Thank You Very Much. I don't know if you've noticed. I always go the opposite of whatever the first person says.
You don't get it. Don't pull back the veil. Jesus God.
Veil.
My hair.
Folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Thank You Very Much. Worst fantasy football bust. Todd Gurley, folks. Todd Gurley. Also, you may be wondering why the picture is so crisp in this episode. My brother here for Christmas got me a better camera to use for this podcast. So thanks, Dan. I appreciate that.
Merry Christmas.
Every one of us.
Not all of them. Not Todd Gurley.
And
Not
sorry you have
Todd
to see
Gurley.
Joe in this deaf.
This is a bit high def for his face.
Yeah, I'm very good looking.
What def rating is this?
I slept on this couch last night.
It's because his own bed hates him.
Yeah, I have a bed, and I said, you know what? I'm a couch guy. Always have been, always will be. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much. It's let me my brother Dan Bates. Dan, do you have any Twitters or Instagram or things you want to plug?
Yeah, I do. It's
Okay, thank you.
Panache UT PNACHE UT that's Twitter. I got like
The ad goes in the front.
That's probably why I only got 12 followers. You can. There's some classic United rants on there.
It's a lot of hatred for United. A lot of love for
I spent 9 hours drunk on a first class flight yelling at United. The worst part is they respond. Like, why? Why respond? Just let me be angry and let it go. No, they want to talk to me and solve my problem.
Did you get vouchers?
You do get compensated, but if you really go after him, you can up it. I actually got a voucher for more than my flight cost at the end of my little argument, which is pretty good. So maybe United's not all bad. You just gotta vent a little.
If you've learned anything,
Vent.
Yelp. Just say the meanest things you can think about companies, and they just pay you money.
You can see me on Facebook at Dan Bates, crushing Austin Fry every week. Other than that, just excited to be here. I've been a long-time caller to the podcast, long-time texter, and really like the new video format, Joe. Doing well, son.
I'm doing great. Dana over here. Do you tweets?
Nope. Thanks for having me.
Bryan Dano, thank you so much for being on the show.
Who said he doesn't have media on the show?
Very, very funny. Just a guy will go off on rants about anything. Surprised the extra point thing didn't lead you to a whole new place.
Yeah. You're not as frustrated about the extra point thing as I am?
Yeah, well, when you were a kicker and
But like, you lost games this year. You tied a game. Did you look back and see that tie if your guy missed an extra point?
I didn't care.
Jesus, this is how you end up losing Eddie and letting Eddie and Dave play. Jesus.
Hey, it's my kryptonite.
Good luck, Eddie.
Squirrel.
And I'm Joe Bates. You watching me on BitChat at Joe Bates Comedy. You can see me on Facebook at Joe America 22. You can also follow me on Twitter at Joe America 22 or at Power Move Guy. I don't really tweet on that one anymore though.
It's my favorite one of yours.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough constantly putting out content every day, constantly putting out content until one day we have no real lives and we're all just social media personas, and then we slowly wither away into nothingness. You can follow me on Instagram at
Merry
Joe Bates
Christmas.
Comedy. Merry Christmas, everybody! Yeah, I know today's the first day of Hanukkah. Don't care. Not letting Hanukkah have a war on Christmas. Go Christmas. Trump, 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 Trump. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Todd Gurley, worst fantasy football bust. This is Rank You Very Much, brought to you by Moxie, the greatest drink you can buy out of New England. This has been Rank You Very Much. You're welcome.
Moxie.com.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Bye.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Dude, that's a lot of